All right, we're back here at Coffee with Coaches. We're in our final installment, and I saved the best for last. I've got three great coaches here, all different in different periods of their careers, and got two who are long tenured here at the university, and Bob Newcomb, women's swimming and diving, and Julie Lafreniere, our women's cross country track and field coaches. And then I've got JC Nunez, who's just started his head coaching career at the University of Massachusetts in the last few years. Although he did have a mentor, a longtime mentor of his who was at the university, Judy Dixon, for a number of years. And we'll get to Judy's impact on you, JC, here shortly. But I wanted to start with you guys on we got Coffee with Coaches. I've realized that only just over maybe 50% of our coaches actually drink coffee, which was a surprise to me. I know that JC, you've told me you don't drink coffee. Just get a nice warm shower in the morning, wake you up. Get you going. Maybe a glass of water. That's the drink of choice in the morning?
Yeah, that's all I need. Just get a big glass of water to hydrate, take a nice warm shower, walk the dogs, and let's do it.
And then sit outside like you're doing today on
There you go. And then enjoy a beautiful morning in the 40s here in New England.
Welcome to New England, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of you have got great product placement. We've got Dunkin'. We're fueled by Dunkin' this morning. I think Bob and I are the only one actually drinking coffee at the moment. Julie, you had your cup, you said earlier this morning, but you've got your product placement. You're now into the water. And JC, thanks for sharing your Dunkin' placement there as well. Dunkin's been great for this Coffee with Coaches. They latched on very early on, and I think they have been a great partner of ours, so we appreciate them. Bob, how do you take your coffee, man?
Usually half and half, or whole milk and some form of sweetener, stevia, sugar, or something like that. Just depends on the day and what happens to be sitting next to me.
When did you start drinking coffee? How long ago?
I used to be a tea drinker until we were on a training trip back in 1988, 87. We were in Orlando, and there's a huge pool right on International Drive in Orlando, and it's indoors, and it was cold, and this thing tends to stay really cold. And so I'd walk in, I'd had a cup of tea in the hotel, and it was so cold on deck. But we happened to be there training next to the British national team, which was cool. They were in the States for the U.S. Open, and they had this little table set up, and I guess they had a manager who set up all this little, like a coffee bar. And the coach and I got talking. He goes, "Oh, no, just go help yourself." So I'd be cold, and I'd go over and I'd grab a cup of coffee, and I'd do this every day. We were down there for about 10 days. And then I got home, and I'm like, "Oh, it's cold, coffee." And I got hooked. I mean, it's an addicting chemical, this stuff, and it's great. And then I would try to stop in the summer, and I could stop in the summer, and then all of a sudden, the first cold August evening, I was like, "Ooh, coffee." So I have been hooked ever since, and I thank the British national coach for hooking me on coffee. And, Dunkin's is not even a half a mile away from my house, which is never good. And now it's coffee dangerous. In the summer. Yeah, so College Street Dunkies. It's coffee.
Do you transition to iced coffee in the summertime?
Yep.
Yeah,
which is, that may be even more addicting in the iced coffee. So it's a year-round fest for me now.
Julie, how about you? How do you take your coffee?
Black.
Yeah. Do you go to iced coffee in the summer?
No. I still drink hot coffee in the mornings.
Yeah.
Nothing in it. High test.
When I was, I haven't shared this story yet on Coffee with Coaches, but when I was just starting at UMass, they had me I had a kind of a suite apartment. I just asked if they could put me up because I knew I was going to be so busy the first few months. So they put me in a suite apartment on campus, and all of the students had left, and I would get in my car to go to the office in the morning, and I would go to the University Drive Dunkin' Donuts every morning at like 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning. And sure enough, the woman at Dunkin', about 3 weeks in, she got to know my name. She knew everything about me. About the second or third month, she was asking about my family. how everybody was doing it was pretty wild. I was a regular. That's when I figured out I was finally a regular, and I now take my coffee on my drive up to work. I make it here at home and put it in a Yeti and bring it up with me. But I'll never forget those first 3 or 4 months there at UMass. And,
you go visit her too, don't you?
Yeah. Yep. So, who's got the dogs in the background?
They're not mine.
I have 2 dogs out here. Yeah.
All right. Do they want to get interviewed?
Yeah, they'll come around a little bit.
Fair enough. Well, listen, you guys are great to join me this morning. I appreciate spending some time with you. This has been a kind of a neat thing for me the last 5 or 6 weeks, and looking forward to each week getting to share, the sort of programmatic approaches that each of you have with your programs, but also just your backgrounds and how they relate to the success that you've had at the university, and you're all at different points in your career, and we're gonna spend some time this morning talking with each of you about your programs and your careers. And I wanted to start with the woman who's going to be leaving us in September, who is rounding out a fantastic career. Julie Lafreniere, you've had quite a run as a former student athlete, moved into a coach, and the time that you spent mentoring our women. I know there's hundreds, if not 1,000 or so women out there that you've had in your career. And I got to imagine once you announced your retirement the end of last summer, I guess, you've probably heard from a number of them. How has this past year been for you in that respect?
No, it's been great, and our program has evolved so much. With my full-time coaching was it's been 33 years, but prior to that, I actually coached at UMass for 4 years part-time. So leave, come back. But I've had the fantastic opportunity to work with many, many women. I think it is over 1,000, and especially from the inception of the program. So it's meant a lot to me. I think I'm very lucky to have had that opportunity and to spend a career doing something you love and have the passion for. And with us, it's always been doing it the right way. We have scholar athletes, and they come to UMass because of their education and the combination and the opportunities. So I've had a lot of alums reach out, and especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people are upset or disappointed that we're not getting together right away. And it's like, it can't be helped. I mean, we would have loved to have had our last season.
Yeah.
But but the women, I love seeing their success after they leave the university, and it's great. And now that we have a staff, your administration has given us the support that we need to be very successful. And the staff is big. That's a big part of it. And most of my time there, I shared one assistant coach with the men's program, and all we did was work, and wasn't really able to devote the time to our athletes that they deserved, but also to stay in touch with all the alums.
Yeah.
So now the way the program is set up now, it's great.
Yeah.
And this is my 3rd year with full-time staff.
Yeah.
It's been great being able to be a director and really oversee all the women. Yeah. And be able to have more time with your alums.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've done a good job of nurturing those relationships in your time at UMass, and the success that you've had. It pretty neat. It's terrible to lose the outdoor season, but pretty neat to finish a coaching career with a championship, which you did at the University of Rhode Island a couple weeks before we left school, and then we had our Sammys last week, and I think women's track and field cleaned up pretty aggressively a lot of the awards, and you got coaching staff of the year and team of the year for us, as well as Jada and Emily had won a bunch of awards, which was certainly well deserving. So you've certainly left your mark as you round out a fantastic career, and I want to talk. I'm going to come back to you, Julie, because I want to talk. I know you have some other hobbies in your life, some other things that keep you active. I want our fans to get a feel for that as well. But Bob, I'm going to go to you. I want to talk about your program. I know this COVID-19 deal. It seems for you've been able to really reconnect with some people as well. I know you've done a number of things on Zoom to connect with our alums and women that swam for you. Tell us a little bit about that and what this last 7 or 8 weeks has meant for you with some of our alums.
Well, it's been kind of a fun, if anything now can be fun, I guess we can go with that. But we usually, a couple of weeks ago would have been our alumni reunion. We have anywhere from 30, 50 alums come back in the last week of April. So we've really worked on trying to do some little reunions on Zoom, and we've had 2 big events. We've had a cocktail party. We've had just a gathering. We've had, I think we had 32 alumni on one and a little less on that on the other. And it's been just really fun touching base. And they've been so appreciative about just spending time with each other. And the last one we did, we had an alum from class of 1980, and she came on, and I'd met her a few times, and it was good to see her, right up to all of last year's graduating class. So we had people from the full gamut through the 80s, 90s, the 2000s. It was fun seeing them talk to each other, introducing themselves to each other, talking, and then of course the conversations would go in 10 different directions at the same time, with everybody wanting to connect and tell stories. And a couple of the alums had their scrapbooks, so anytime somebody would tell a story, they put up pictures, and it was just so much fun just letting them go. I mean, we really had no agenda. We did kind of play a little drinking game during one, Never Have I Ever, but that brought up so many great stories about things they were doing and the times that they had at UMass and what they've done, it's recently since they've left. And so we've had some absolutely fabulous alumni chats and very free flowing, but just really fun.
Right. Good. Jason, you came back. You're an assistant coach for a number of years for us, and that's to go around for a couple of years, and then we hired you back here. And was this your second or third year? Second year?
Just finished my 3rd year.
Just finished third. Okay. And I know you obviously, as a former college tennis player yourself, you're preparing for life in coaching, and had the good fortune of being mentored by Judy Dixon, who's a longtime UMass coach and Hall of Famer for us. Tell me what that was like to come up and be in a coaching environment with Judy and mentorship.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful and feel so lucky that I was able to start my coaching career with, like you said, a legend like Judy Dixon, who coached for so many years and has such a big impact on so many people during her time. And yeah, like I said, I mean, I got right out of college, looking for the opportunity to continue to stay in college tennis. And like I said, I was very lucky to get the opportunity to start working with Judy, back in 2009 as a grad assistant back then. And like I said, it was a great experience, working with her for 6 years, learned so much. And I mean, obviously to this day, I mean, she's still a big part of my life. And, we stay in constant contact even during this, during the situation, the last few months during the season. I mean, she's been someone who's been very helpful for me, as I've begun my head coaching career. just someone that I can kind of talk to, bounce things off of, get her advice. Again, like you said, someone who coached for so many years, been through a lot. So, it's great to have someone like that in my life that can always be there for me, that I know will always be there for me no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. What you had to tennis is a sport that really is year round for us. I mean, we play a lot of matches in the fall, a lot of invitationals, and then we got our season kicked off early 2020. I think you had played 12 or 13 or 20 or so matches by the time we canceled. So you had over 50% of your matches done. Obviously, we haven't played our A10 championship yet. That was due to come in late April. But what kind of season we had? I know had some injuries and things like that, but we've got a number of quality women in the lineup and a number of international student athletes.
Yeah,
tell us about the season and about what we could expect, or what to expect here in 2020 to finish up.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, that's the thing with tennis. It's a year-round sport. So, we start practicing the first day of school, right after Labor Day. And then pretty much go pretty much most of the fall until mid-November. Then we have a little bit of a break. But then we kick right back. We usually come back about a week before school starts in January to start training the little mini preseason, and then by late January we're back playing matches, and then go all the way till, like you said, late April, A10 championships, early May. NCAA championships will be happening right now for tennis. So obviously it's a long season. Basically go from the first day of the fall till the last day of the spring. And like you said, obviously for us, because of that, we did get a chance to play, a lot of matches this year. We had a full fall, did really well then. Like you said, in the spring, we had some injuries that definitely were a challenge, for our squad. But, I was really proud with the way we competed, throughout that in the spring. And obviously, we would have loved the opportunity to, to finish out the season, go to the A10 championships and possibly beyond. So obviously, it's unfortunate, that our season kind of got caught short at that moment when basically we're getting ready for spring break. And I know that was the week that, everything kind of, anything kind of broke. And obviously with NCAA, obviously decided to suspend all spring sports. I think it was like maybe the day before we were supposed to be flying out on Friday morning for spring break, and then that Thursday afternoon is when everything kind of broke, and obviously a lot of things happened very fast that day, and obviously it was hard. I mean, like for all coaches, I know it was a very difficult time. Obviously having to tell our teams, that this was it for the year. And obviously during a big period of uncertainty, because obviously at that time, everything was just kind of happening. So I know for all of us, we're all just trying to figure out and make sense of what's going on right now. And, what can we do? What do we need to do? But yeah, overall, like I said, I was happy with the way we were competing and fighting out there. Like I said, having to deal with some injuries, and, we would have loved the opportunity to sit the year out, go to Orlando for the A10 championships, and do our best down there. But yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't in our control this year.
Right. Yeah. We it feels like that Thursday that you just you referenced, when we made the call, the NCAA made the call, the Atlantic 10, Hockey East, we made all those decisions and cancellation of our season, and we got together as a head coaching group in the Football Performance Center. That feels like it was like 5 years ago. It was only a month and a half ago, but my goodness, or maybe a little bit more than a month and a half ago. But boy, did that feel like it was a long time ago that I saw you guys last time, and we all broke for spring break, and we haven't been back on campus really since. Julie, you had 2 seasons that you were able to get done with the cross country indoor track, and you were poised to make another run at the championship in the outdoor season. What was the message to the women? You guys were headed down to Florida for your spring break trip, and we obviously canceled that, and then obviously the NCAA canceled the rest of the spring season. What was the message to the women that you had, that mid-March time period?
Well, we had just come off winning the A10 indoor championship. Everybody was tired, but on a real high.
Yeah.
And that whole week, and I have to give you credit with you kept us very well informed. That whole week was a very anxiety-ridden week. I actually had coaches from our conference, from other schools, contact me because they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So our administration kept us in the loop. He let us know what was going on. The communication was great. So that's one thing. But we were ready, the same as JC, we were ready to leave on Saturday, March 14th with a group of 16 women and our entire staff down to Orlando. Everything was paid for with our 14-bedroom, 200 bath place we had rented. And that was the first thing that was taken off the table, I believe. We took that off the table maybe on a Wednesday. And then the entire season was canceled on a Thursday. And we just kept asking the kids, we were having emergency meetings, and we would bring them in, and they'd all come running to the cage. And we talked to them, tell them, we kept them right up to date, just like you kept us. And I think by Tuesday and Wednesday we were going to go, and then I think Wednesday we did cancel. We said no more flights. We weren't traveling. And so that group of 16 women were sad, but prior to that I had several parents of the freshmen pull the freshmen out. I had two that said my daughter isn't going. Yeah. And it's like, fine, and then it ended up we all weren't going. Yeah. So that was the first step of disappointment. And then on Thursday, when the NCAA canceled everything, there were a lot of tears. We had both men's and women's track up in the cage, and there were a lot of tears. And then it was kind of stunning. And then, it struck me that outdoors was done. And I expected to have one more. I know I'm probably being kind of a hog because I already had 2 seasons. So I wanted that 3rd season. But it was the last one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair. That is fair.
So I started to tear up, and I don't like to cry in front of people. And finally my tears were running over my lower lids, and I was like, I'm out of here. So we hugged goodbye, and I got in my car and went home. I cried all the way home.
Yeah.
But then after I had a good cry, I put my big girl pants on and said, okay, this is life. Yeah. And there's a lot of disappointments in life. Yeah. Always has been, always will be. And when you compare something like this, yes, we're all upset and disappointed, but when you compare it to the reality of people's lives are more important. So that was the message that I was trying to give to them. It's like, yeah, it's really awful, but there's worse things in life. Yeah. And we all need to be prepared for that. Yeah. So
it's a good message. Yeah, that's a good message. And you referenced it earlier. While we haven't been able to get anybody together in Europe, we're going to do that at some point in the future. I want our that we'll announce something for you. Hopefully, it can be in the fall time period. That's the goal. And you and Ross in our work, we have to make sure we feed both of you in your careers and give our alums especially a chance to get back and spend some time with you to celebrate the good work that you've done. Bob, you guys finished up your season just in time, and I know we still had Maya going to diving nationals, which didn't end up occurring. So That was obviously a disappointment to finish out her career as one of our most decorated divers in our time. And so that I was kind of hoping that she might have a nice finish to her career. And what was the message to her specifically? Because everything else had stopped in terms of a swimming and diving standpoint, but she had still gone on with Mandy to compete at nationals.
Well, we had, it was bittersweet also because she was a senior and it was her last competition. And I think it was, not really much you could say to make anybody feel any better at this point. But it was, you've had a great career. The way you finished, her zone diving, which is the qualifier, was incredible.
She was excellent. Yeah.
I said this, we had our little virtual awards thing the other day with the team, and I said, you had a personal best at zones. Nobody does that. And I don't know of anybody that's ever done it. She finished so well, and her last two competitions, her 3-meter finals at A10s may have been the single best diving performance I've ever seen. She outscored the opponent. She did not need to do her last dive to win the event, except for one other diver. So she had 7 women who she had outscored and didn't need to do the last dive. She was so good. And she just finished on such a great note. And that's kind of the thing that, you finish so strong and take that. And so it was really hard in that aspect, but she's tough.
Yeah.
And the nice thing, you get to see her, she's staying around, she's doing her MBA down at Springfield College, and so she's still going to be in the area, and so it'll be really nice to still have her around, to be able to say hello and maybe give her a hug at some point.
Yeah, she's one. I mean, she's not only been an outstanding diver for us, but she's done so well in the classroom, and I've heard so many good things from her professors over in Eisenberg. And you three all are in charge of programs that have done really well academically over the course of time, and especially the last few years that you all have led your programs. And the challenge of this COVID-19 departure from campus, working remotely, finishing out the semester this week with our final schedule, but having campus make the decisions to go pass fail, it's impacted everybody a little bit differently. How have you guys each seen it with your teams, just from an academic standpoint? I get the feeling that, we've got resilient kids and they just put their head down and keep moving forward. But have you guys felt that? Have you felt that from your groups? Bob, I'll start with you.
We started right after spring break. We did all of our individual meetings. So Maya and I took one-on-ones with every one of the athletes and just talking about how they were doing with their academics and what the professors were doing. And there was quite a range of, one's doing them live, one's doing them archived, tests done in so many different ways. And just the variety of different things that professors were doing was really interesting to see. But all of them were getting their work done, getting their papers done, taking their tests. We've had a pretty good feedback since then, as far as, everybody's got stuff and has done everything. So a lot of pass fail options being taken. And I think, I think they've all responded really well to what they had to do and thrown at them at the last minute.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were those 3 days and that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right before spring break there, when you would call us together and we'd have a meeting, and then the next day we got together and everything was different, and then the next day where everything changed and everything was shut down, and you're doing the meeting, we're relaying it to them, and then, okay, guys, here we go on the Friday. Oh, by the way, it's all different. Here we are. And then Saturday, oh, by the way, we hope, and we'd had meetings over the week to be able to make sure they were prepared and bringing all their schoolwork home and bringing everything they needed for weeks. And so I think they were pretty well prepared for what was coming. Nobody liked it, but again, it's about everybody's health and well-being. So I think they responded really well to it. I was very pleased with everything that we've heard and what they've managed to do. And our academic services has been phenomenal, helping and sorting out the issues. And I know Lance has been really on top of what the athletes are needing and taking care of things. So those people in academic services have been incredible over this period.
Yeah. Julie, how about you? What's been the feedback? What have you witnessed with our student athletes in this last 7 or 8 weeks?
Well, first of all, I agree with Bob. And our academic counselor is Colby Hall. She has done a fantastic job staying on our athletes, letting them know what is available to them during this time, and getting weekly reports of tutoring sessions and what the tutors had to say about any of our athletes that needed the help. It was very much available, and she was right on top of it. Most of them, I think, adapted pretty well. I don't think they enjoyed the online sessions, but they're very dedicated academics with in general. So they take themselves seriously as scholar athletes, and so they took advantage of what our athletic, the supportive staff had to offer. And I think just all throughout our department, what they're offering is very, very, very good. And then at the end, the conference came in with some Zoom sessions, I believe. But I feel like they did adapt, and we'll see when the grades come out, or the pass fails, or however that's going to work out. One of the athletes made some comment to me about, oh, sure, here, teach yourself, we'll see you later, type of thing. But it really wasn't like that. But she was talking more about the professors in her, she was a nutrition major.
Yes.
And
it's been, I'll tell you, it's been kind of interesting to watch from my seat, not being on the academic side of the institution in terms of the day-to-day pieces, and watching our faculty pivot to online teaching, and then the challenge of things like labs, obviously, and performing arts that are done in person, and having to really do things differently in that realm. And we're still trying to figure out, as you all know, in my updates to the coaches, we're trying to figure out what's going to happen in the fall. And that's been a real challenge to be able to tell our coaches, tell our student athletes, tell our staff. We're gonna have an all-staff meeting that I know you guys will join me on this afternoon, where we're able to give some updates. But more questions right now than answers, which is really hard. And it's hard for our young people to not have an idea of what the future holds, and it's stressful for a lot of people. It creates anxiety and panic, and so we've tried to make sure that we're staying connected. You three do a great job of staying on top of your student athletes and making sure they have everything they need. JC, from your perspective, what did you see from your women? You had a number of women go home, and you have a number of foreigners that had to get back to their homes, and that was a challenge because some of them in their hometowns had been hit by COVID-19 pretty aggressively. What have you seen?
Yeah, for us, that period, that weekend right before spring break was always a very hectic one. A lot of our students, like you said, are international, so figuring out, hey, can I go home right now? And if so, how do I get home? And some of them could not, so some of them had to stay here on campus. And thankfully, the university was great. Obviously for the students that couldn't go home, so they could still remain on campus and be safe here. Some of them were able to get home. We had one student athlete from Italy, who obviously Italy is one of the countries that's been hit the hardest, and she was able to get home, thankfully. and obviously, once she got home, she had to go into, quarantine and go through that process. Also, a student athlete who eventually went home to Serbia. Same situation. As soon as she got home, she had to go into quarantine and isolation. So obviously for them, it's been it's been a very difficult situation. Like for all of us, but for those students in particular, having to deal with those realities of traveling internationally, had to be put into quarantine isolation, before they can see their family again. Again, it's just such a unique, once in a lifetime situation that we're all going through right now. But like Bob and Julie said, obviously, I think that first weekend, going into spring break, definitely was a lot of uncertainty. I think that was what it was very helpful, all the communication that we were having from you guys, just kind of keeping us informed, so then we could relay that information to our student athletes. Obviously, understanding that it was such a fluid situation, where I know it was like for a few days there, it seemed like just like every hour there was like something new update. I know we had like so many calls and meetings during that time, just with the constant changes that were happening, and then relaying that to our students. Obviously, I think that first week there was definitely a lot of uncertainty, just trying to figure out what does this mean, what are we all going to do now. I think then with time, as things kind of, I think as we all kind of settled into this new reality, I think obviously people kind of got into their routine. And yeah, just like everybody, I've been checking in with our students regularly during this period, by phone, text, just to see how they're doing. Obviously, going into finals this week, but it sounds like everybody's kind of, gotten adjusted to everything and been doing well. And obviously, Lance, who is our academic advisor, has done a great job as well of, staying in contact with them, staying in contact with me, making sure that, we're on top of everything. And it sounds like, we are, but like Julie said, I guess we'll find out when grades come out.
Yeah, all the reports right now are very positive.
But yeah, everything I'm hearing, yeah.
Bob, I'm gonna start with you. What's the last month and a half meant for you?
Yeah, recruiting has definitely been different, because all the championship meets were all canceled. All the big ones that we would usually go to, all the ones where the juniors, sophomores would be having their best times. It's really been interesting as we've been reevaluating athletes, trying to figure out, well, without your junior year times, what are you, how good are you, and that sort of thing. At this point, we've been just talking to a lot of different kids, just trying to stay in touch, keeping them informed. I mean, without a lot of information from them, and without us doing a whole lot around here on campus, it's been a very different experience. But it's just been a lot of general communication and emails and touching base and just trying to keep up, and the kids wanting to come visit campus and things, and that just hasn't been happening either. So it's, you send them off on a virtual tour, and you keep talking to them, and it's definitely had to change direction as how you're dealing with the kids. So it's been just a lot of conversations and trying to keep them interested, and telling them what we're doing and the growth of the program, and how we finished, and we're moving in what I think is a good direction with the kids that we have coming in the fall. And so it's been a very different, because spring has always been a big time, having a lot of kids on campus, and really is setting up their recruiting opportunities. And they can't even schedule anything in the fall. Just we sort of have ballparks, but we're just trying to sit back and wait for things to actually, said you can or can't do things, and that's hard. And of course, nobody likes to have all this uncertainty. So it's been a very different, a different way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Julie, I referenced it earlier. Your hobby, I want to get into. I know you still get your hands full, even though you might not be in the office recruiting or doing any of those things. I know you're home. You've got enough things you're juggling there. Tell our audience about last 6 or 7 or 8 weeks for you at home.
It's actually been a little bit more relaxing because I usually would get up at 4:30 in the morning and have my cup of coffee and take care of the 8 border terriers that live here. JC, you don't know what you're missing. So, and then I'd be out at the barn probably by 5:45.
Yeah.
And take care of, right now we have 17 Surrey alpacas. And so the farm girl would be out. I mean, my life has been picking up poop. It's what it's been. So clean them up, give them their grain, come in, shower, maybe if I'm lucky, grab something to eat, and drive my 30 miles to Amherst.
Yeah.
So now I don't have that 30-mile drive. And the biggest difference for me is, in the past, it was just every moment I was rushing. Now I can sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I can take care of that. Plus I have an 88-year-old father that needs, I need to keep him from working too hard, basically. He's always been a very strong bull type guy.
Yeah.
And aging, he's not happy with what's happening to him with his aging.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know enough to not work so hard. And he's going to be 89 in a few months. And he's got congestive heart failure and he's stage 4 kidney failure.
Oh,
but he just keeps pushing. He just won't stop.
Yeah.
So it worries me when I am away because I come home and I see what he's been doing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work to do around on a farm.
Yeah.
So besides dogs, that I think some of my spare time I've decided to rototill up some of my lawn and put in more like hummingbird gardens and stuff.
Oh, good. How did you get into alpaca farming?
Oh, that was in the early 2000s, and there was some people made a lot of money with it, but I breed border terriers, but then it was like, oh, I could breed alpacas, and we were successful. I have one of the animals that was born on this farm took a first place in his class at the national specialty. I couldn't go to it. I just sent him off with someone that was driving out to Colorado.
Yeah.
And she was all excited to take a first and very competitive. And he beat a lot of big time farms. So, but everything collapsed in 2008 and 2009 when we had the economic. Yeah. So people were getting into little mini farms like gentleman farms.
Yeah.
But anyway, I obviously love animals, and they're kind of a peaceful animal, and they're not hard to take care of.
Okay, that's good. Did you grow up with animals when you were a kid? Did you have a lot of animals?
I grew up with hunting beagles.
Okay.
And harriers.
Yep.
With my dad, so our pets were actually hunting dogs.
Yeah. And JC, we heard your dogs in the background. What kind of dogs do you have?
So actually, I have 2 border terriers. So I still have some ways to reach Julie's numbers, but yeah, no, I mean, as Julie would also obviously say, they're awesome dogs. Great energy, very people motivated. So they love to be with us. But definitely like terriers, they definitely have some spunk to them, and definitely love to chase any kind of squirrel, vermin, things they see. Obviously, when dogs walk by our yard, they want to make sure that they know that this is their territory. But no, they're awesome dogs. One of them is 5. I mean, he'll be turning 5 in a few months. And then another one we got last year. She'll be turning 1 next month. But yeah, no, they're great.
Julie's going to put pressure on you to get to 7 or 8 or.
No, I think 2. I think 2 is a good number for us.
They're 2, perfect.
Well, I think I agree with JC. 2 is plenty for him because he's letting those dogs bark.
No. Hey, Bob, do you
I
have
have
any animals?
I have we have a dog. He's a big goofy lab mix, and we have a turtle. So we that's about it. And the dog, we went for a walk, and he is now just collapsed on the rug here, but he's ready to go start chasing tennis balls any second.
Oh, that's great. He must be pumped that you're home and able to throw those tennis balls to him every morning.
Yes, and then he's like, okay, we can stop now, please. I'm tired. I need to go. I need to go nap.
There you go. Good. Well, listen, we've hit about 45 minutes. I wanted to ask you all one last question here, and this will come out tomorrow on Thursday. We know we have rules compliance. AP, our compliance director, will make sure we're on time for that. So we got to make sure we get to that. So I'll wrap up here this morning, but I just wanted to ask you guys what, in this time, it gives you a lot of chance to reflect and just what you're sort of grateful for. What are the things that you think about, you've thought about over the last few weeks and thinking about, professionally, personally, whatever it may be, the things that you're grateful for in your life. JC, I'll start with you, man.
I mean, I think first and foremost, I'm just grateful for my family's health. Right now, thankfully, my wife and I are doing well. So her parents both work, kind of on the front lines. Her mom works at the fire station down on the Cape. Her dad is a nurse at a hospital down on the Cape as well in the emergency room. So obviously they're on the front lines of everything. But thankfully they're doing well and also staying healthy and obviously taking every precaution. So I would say for me it's just very grateful for our health, their health. My mother's from Venezuela and she's actually with my sister in Florida right now. So thankfully she was with my sister when this kind of happened. So she's been able to stay with her, down in Tampa. So yeah, I think just grateful for that, to be honest.
No, that's great. Well, I think we should all be grateful for those frontline workers like your father-in-law and mother-in-law. And there's just so many people that are being impacted by this. And to have folks who look after us in a number of ways on the front lines has just been remarkable to see in the nation, even in a tough time like this, come together in so many ways. And you see it at the local level and obviously beyond. So appreciate them. So that's great. Julie, how about you?
Same thing with grateful for family and friends. And, I'm grateful that I had the career that I had and the opportunities that I had. But during this pandemic, grateful for the leadership that we have in this department, at the university with Chancellor, and I'm proud of our governor. Yeah. And I look at some of the lack of leadership in this country and with other states that don't seem to care about their people. Yeah. So I'm grateful for Governor Baker and everybody's in love with New York's Governor Cuomo. Yeah. So I'm grateful to have people like them in charge and doing what's right for people. Yeah. And keeping us safe. And just want all of our athletes and our UMass family to be safe and take care of everyone.
Absolutely. So. Good. Well, thank you for that. Bob, how about you, man?
Well, first and foremost, it's family. We're all healthy so far, knocking on wood here. And, we have my one daughter who lives on the other coast and, an 11-and-a-half-month-old grandchild who will have a first birthday, which is great, but I'm not going to be there, unfortunately. Yeah. And but the joys of FaceTiming and whatnot, to be able to see her growing up, which is great. And my other daughter, who is a nurse down at Bay State, and so she's got her routine and works in a good part of the hospital. She actually works in the NICU, so I'm very proud of what she is doing every day. And so very grateful for the family and for the very strong group of women that I work with. Yeah. They're wonderful. They have made the commitment to do what they need to do in this day and age, and they may not like it, but they've been doing it. And so it's been a very interesting couple months, but very grateful that there's people here that are taking good care of them, and all of those people through the weight room, the academic services, the training room, the mental health. I mean, the people that have been able to take care of our student athletes. Thank you very much. And, the information we've been getting from you has been phenomenal, and you've done a very good way of doing it. And your message of "I'll let you know when I know" has been spectacular, rather than just having endless meetings of nothing. So
Yeah.
it's been a good experience for the experience that it is, and I'm grateful that the people around us are doing well.
Well, that's good. 3 good reflections from you 3. No surprise there. I think after a flurry of meetings, our first week of going through this, I tried to give you all a little bit of a break. And I thought that, I said this to a couple different people, I thought that 6, 7, 8 weeks later, we'd have some answers. We'd be able to get our coaching group back together and provide answers to you. And unfortunately, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for answers to a lot of our questions. But the leadership that you 3 have provided, along with our other head coaches, has been awesome. It's appreciate every day the people I work with and that are great partners and teammates. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you all very soon in the flesh. We can get back together and connect and hopefully get our student athletes back in the fall too, which would be great. So appreciate you 3 being on here this morning. You guys have done a great job. No surprise, you're on last Coffee with Coaches. I've got to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with my Wednesday. I don't have these segments to tape anymore. Maybe I'll just call you guys and catch up. But thanks for being on here. Appreciate you very much. And thanks to Dunkin' Donuts for fueling us over the last 6, 7 weeks. And they all got their Dunkin' took good care of us. So great product.
Thanks, Dunkin'.
You guys all have a second career in marketing if you want it.
Thanks to Duncan.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Be safe. Be safe out there. Okay.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right.
Thank you.